Have you ever felt stuck in remorse for the past or in worry about the future? The answer is probably yes, because this, to some extent, is just part of being human. This is the way our brains work. And when we get stuck in these patterns of remorse and worry, it can totally derail us. In this video series, I've been talking about the 5 obstacles that we experience as human beings that create stories that keep us stuck. These obstacles underlie these stories that we fall into and believe, and they keep us stuck in our lives. And this is important to know because when we understand these obstacles, we can understand our stories. When we understand our stories, we have an opportunity and a choice to change them. And as we change our stories, we can change our lives. So today we're going to tackle worry and remorse. I'm going to teach you strategies to learn to let go of the past, let go of trying to change the past, and let go of trying to change the future or control the future. Because when you can let go of changing the past and controlling the future, you step into your full power. It's that important. It's that impactful. So if you are ready to step into your full power, let's dive in. So let's talk about what worry and remorse are. Remorse is focused on the past, right? It's remembering past experiences. It's ruminating about past decisions, past events, past memories, past experiences. It's remorse for past mistakes, and it's regret for things that you may have neglected to do, right? It's ruminating about everything in the past that you did or didn't do that didn't go the way that you wanted to or that you perceive as a mistake. That is remorse, right? All those ruminations. Worry, on the other hand, is focused about the future, right? It's anticipating the future and what might happen and making predictions and then worrying about those predictions, right? So it may be anxiety about future pain that could happen. It could be worry over consequences for decisions that you've already made, and now you're worrying about what the consequences might be. Or it could be worry about unlikely things, right? So often we spend time worrying and spinning about things that may not even happen, right? It's a very small chance, and yet they take up a lot of our mind space. So this is what that looks like to be stuck in worry and remorse. But as with all of these obstacles, they do serve a purpose, right? They do serve a purpose. They're important to our survival, to our growth and development. So let's talk about the purpose that they serve. How do worry and remorse help us? How do they serve us? They're actually a really important part of our brain functioning to help us adapt and survive in our environment. So as we have experiences and create memories of what we have experienced, it teaches us what to anticipate in the future, right? So even at the simplest level, if you eat a basic food and you get sick afterwards, then you know to anticipate in the future to avoid that food, right? If you eat that food and feel good afterwards and feel full and satisfied, you know to eat that food again, right? So this is part of how we experience and go through the world. We experience things, we create meaning of that thing, and then based on that meaning, we know if we want to seek that out again or avoid it in the future, right? It's how we know if certain animals are safe or if they're dangerous, right? It's how we know if certain foods are good or bad. It's how we know what to do and how to adapt to certain weather situations, right? This is all part of how we learn and adapt to our environment. And it saves a ton of time, right? That I don't have to relearn every time I eat this food that it actually makes me sick. I've learned it once and I can avoid it in the future, right? So it's part of how we adapt and survive. It saves us a lot of time and a lot of energy, right? So there's purpose in all of this. However, we can get stuck if we're so stuck in past memories, right? In those ruminations, we can get stuck in past decisions or past conversations, past experiences that we feel didn't go well, right? We can get stuck in this badness, right, of our past that we're still stuck in. It can lead to a lot of shame. Or if we're always worried about the future, right, that one plant that I ate was made me sick, and so what if all plants make me sick, and I'm always going to be sick, and we get stuck in this worry loop, right? We get so stuck we become paralyzed. So we get stuck in these stories of I am bad or the future is scary, right? Thinking about my past, I am bad. Thinking about my future, the future is scary, and we get stuck there. So while this is a normal process, then the key is to receive this process in a skilled way, right? There's always a decision point if I'm going to experience worry and remorse skillfully or unskillfully. And that determines how you navigate, and ultimately the kind of life you can create. So let's talk first about the unskilled response. You can always tell when you are in an unskilled response when you have collapsed into the story, meaning you believe that you have no options, that what you're experiencing is just the way that it is. You have collapsed into your story when that is what you believe. So when we talk about remorse, what do those stories sound like? They sound like, I'm so ashamed of behaving that way. Why did I do that? That was so stupid when I did that thing, right? That's kind of being stuck in remorse for the past. And here's the thing, you can't change the past, right? And so you collapse into shame because you cannot change any of those things. And so you collapse into shame. Worry sounds like, what if I get caught? Or I'm so afraid? Or what if fill in the blank happens, right? And because we cannot control the future, we collapse into anxiety, right? And we get stuck in these loops of either I'm so bad, I can't believe that happened in the past, or what if that happens in the future? I'm so afraid. We get stuck spinning on the past and the future, neither of which we have any control over, right? That past ship has already sailed. It's gone. We cannot change it. The future hasn't happened. We don't even know what that ship is going to look like yet, right? It is nothing. There's nothing that we can control or determine about that. The only thing we actually have control over and where we have power is in the present moment. So when we're stuck in the past or worrying about the future, we have stepped out of our power, right? We're now worrying and spending a lot of energy on things that we cannot control. So that is the power of moving into a skilled response, which is what we'll cover next. So just to share an example of what this might look like on like your journey with eating and your relationship with food and body, right? So we all have had times where we have not eaten the way that we wanted to, right? We didn't feel well. We felt maybe we've overeaten or even binged, and we don't feel good, right? We have a choice. We can get stuck in that worry and the remorse, right? Of like, what if I'm always going to eat this way, or I can't, it was so stupid of me to eat the way that I eat, or why didn't I listen to my body? Why didn't I just stop, right? We're stuck in that worry and the remorse. And when we're stuck in that place, trying to change the past, right, or control the future, we lose attunement to what our body actually needs, right? We can't actually listen to our wise body and think about, forget the past, what do I need in this moment? Do I need to eat? Do I need to rest? Do I need to give my body a little bit of a cleanse? What does my body tell me I need, right? But when we're stuck in that worry and remorse, we lose connection to that. And it can be really keep us stuck on those patterns of continuing to not nourish our body or moving into a place of starving our body, trying to control the future or change the past, right, to make up for the past. So this is where we get stuck in these patterns and stories that keep us in this place of disconnection and poor health and not treating our bodies well. So let's talk about what the skilled response would look like. So let's talk about the skillful response. The skillful response always begins with noticing when you've collapsed in the story. And remember, that always sounds like, I have no other choice. This is just the way that it is, right? Or in the case of worry and remorse, it might sound specifically like, I can't believe I did that. That was so stupid. I'm so dumb. I'm so bad. Or the future is so scary. What if this happens, right? And just believing that that is just the way that it is means you have collapsed into your story. So that's the first and sometimes the hardest, but always the most important step to take. Just notice, be aware you were stuck in your story. Step number one. Step number two, let's talk about past ruminations. You cannot change the past, right? So what you're going to do for a skilled response is to reframe it. Instead of being stuck in things that you wish you could change, let's reframe it to understand it, right? And to learn from it in a productive and a healthy way. So some question sequences that you can walk through to begin to engage those experiences from the past to make different meaning of them might look like this. First of all, ask, what am I holding on to? What's that memory that I'm holding on to? What meaning am I making of that memory, right? What am I holding on to? The next question is, what was I trying to get from that behavior, right? From whatever it is that I'm remembering, what was I trying to get from that behavior? Because behavior always comes from a place of trying to get a need met. It never comes from a place of badness, right? Just a sign of your badness. It never comes from that place. It's always an attempt to get a need met. So get curious. What was I trying to get from that behavior? And then offer it compassion, right? Offer it compassion. Sit with that basic need that it was reaching out for. Sit with the humanity of trying to get your needs met, right? And what that feels like to seek that and try that and attempt different things through different behavior. Offer it compassion. And then ask, what do I need to witness, right? Is there some underlying pain that is reflected in this need that I just need to offer it some witnessing, right? This is just part of building relationship with yourself, building relationship with your past self, right? So you can offer it healing and growth. What do I need to witness? What pain was I experiencing in those moments? And then from this place, you can offer yourself forgiveness. Because once you can forgive yourself and understand the story and witness the pain and understand the need, then you can let go. And that is the journey, is to learn to let go of your past so it's not continuing to influence your future. So walking through those sequence of questions to understand those ruminations, to get to a point of understanding, witnessing compassion and ultimate forgiveness allows you to let that go. That's the process of reframing your past. What does this look like for anxiety and worry? So first of all, you always want to acknowledge the fear. Sometimes we have a tricky relationship with fear where we want to ignore it or push it away, or we wish that it would just was not there, right? And that never helps. So first you want to acknowledge the fear and then ask, what am I protecting from? Right? Any anxiety or fear is always a protection against something, right? And so understanding, what am I protecting from? And then from there, you want to engage the fear, right? If I'm afraid what might happen, what do you need from me, fear, right? So you are becoming the leader of your self, right? This is self-leadership. What do you fear that I hold? What does this fear need from me? Okay, you're starting to build a relationship with the fear and then become the leader of your system, right? What is the minimum thing that the fear needs to move forward? So let's take this as an example, again, back to that eating example. Maybe you've overeaten and you're stuck in this fear of like, I'm always going to be this way. I just will never be able to break these cycles, never be able to break these patterns. So the remorse of that fear, right? Getting curious, what need was I trying to meet, right? What was the underlying need underneath the behavior? Getting curious about that, offering it some compassion, understanding the need, witnessing any pain that may have been present, and then allowing yourself that forgiveness to let it go. And then the future worry, well, what if it happens again, right? What if I do it again because I want this pattern to break so badly? And what if it happens again? And engaging that fear and understanding it, right? Where does this fear come from? What's the fear protecting me from? I know a lot of people hold fears around judgment from other people or fear about their body size, right? There's a lot of fears that we hold about what if I overeat again? What if I go into that binging cycle again, right? And so engaging the fear, that makes sense to feel that fear. It's okay to feel that fear. What do you need from me to support you, right? Fear, to support that fear in myself. What do I need to offer that to be able to move forward, right? Maybe it needs a continual practice of self-forgiveness. Maybe it needs some structure, some support, right? So I can make those changes that I need to change. Whatever those are, engaging the fear to understand what support it needs from you so it can allow you to move forward in a more present and empowered way, right? That's what the skillful response looks like. Okay, there are two skills that I want to teach you quickly that will help in your skilled response, right? As you're building that skilled response to worry and remorse, these two skills can help a lot. The first one is a sensation practice. What this is it's a practice in coming back to an awareness of your body sensations. Because here's the thing, your memories, those thoughts and memories that you have take you to your past. The thoughts you have about the future, right, and the anxiety about the future are taking you into the future. And so our thoughts typically live in the past and in the future, right? And that's kind of a normal, healthy process. But our sensation is all about the present, right? So as we drop back into sensation, what am I actually feeling? What's actually happening in my body? Right, so going back to our food example again, right? I'm really afraid of overeating and I have so much remorse about how I ate the day before. And so I'm going to try to control how I eat in the future to prevent that from happening again, right? This is that worry and anxiety, the past remorse, and future control that I'm stuck in. And I have no idea what actually is going on in my body, right? I'm so worried about what I might eat and what I don't want to eat that I don't even know if I'm actually hungry, right? I don't even know what my body actually needs. And so sensation practice allows you to drop back into what's actually happening for you in this moment. And it's as simple as coming back to your breath. It's a really easy, simple access point. And this is something that's really cool. This is from Dan Siegel's book, Aware, where he talks about the neuroscience of presence and mindfulness. Sensation, the awareness of sensation, is actually a different area in the brain that's activated than when we're stuck in our thoughts, right? So it's a very physical activation of a different brain area to take us out of those ruminations and into the present moment as we focus on sensation. So it can be really powerful. So start with your breath, then drop deep down into your belly. You can come back up into your chest, then out to your limbs, right? Or you can start at your head and just notice sensation down to your toes, right? Just kind of doing a full body scan, shifting out of your thoughts as many times as you need to, coming back into sensation. And as you do that consistently, you will build a deeper, stronger ability to live from that place of presence, which again is where you are fully empowered, right? Because you are fully connected to what's actually happening, not what might happen or what did happen, but to what's actually happening in this moment. And then your response from that place is your wisest response, right? That is the best, wisest response you can make, is when you are fully connected to the present moment. Okay, so that's the first skill, just coming back to sensation, practicing that on a regular basis. The second one is to practice letting go, right? And this comes back to that skilled response. The first part of it is practicing self-forgiveness on a regular basis, going through that sequence of questions that we talked about, right? What am I holding on to? What was that behavior trying to get? What need was it trying to meet? Was there any pain that need was representing, or that needs to be witnessed so I can let go? And then from that place, forgiving myself, right? So a consistent practice of self-forgiveness can be really helpful. And then letting go of the future, right? Letting go and learning and cultivating trust in your life, cultivating trust in yourself, cultivating trust in the divine. Those are two powerful sources of trust, that you know that you will show up to the best of your ability in any moment, that you trust the divine will show up for you in any given moment. And with that, you can let go, right, of things happening the way they might happen, let go of things being good or bad, and just trust that you can navigate and that everything will be okay. So cultivating forgiveness and trust, letting go of the past, letting go of controlling the future, coming back into full presence. Okay, so to bring this all together, the next time you notice any of these stories like, I'm so ashamed of behaving that way, why did I do that? That was so stupid of me. Or stories like, what if I get caught? I'm so afraid. Or what if fill in the blank event happens? Notice them for what they are, right? These are stories of worry and remorse that are meant to help us. They are meant to help us remember the past and anticipate the future to ensure our best survival, right? They're meant to help us, but we will take them and manage them with a skilled response, which means that we will receive those worries, we will understand them and release whatever needs to release so that we can then forgive ourselves and then let go, right? And we'll see that worry as something that we can engage in and understand the fear, understand what support we might need from ourselves to move forward, and learn to trust in ourselves, trust in the divine, whatever your belief system is, right? Cultivating that trust so that we can let go. That is the skilled response that we're working towards. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one thing that you want to work towards, either a worry that you want to let go of, or a remorse that you're holding on to that you want to not ruminate on any longer? Comment below. Let me know what was helpful for you in the video and what's one thing that you want to try. Don't forget to click subscribe for more videos on how to build a life of health and well-being that are centered on self-trust, that are centered on cultivating your innate inner wisdom. You can go to nourishwhoyouare.com to sign up for a free coaching session where we will do a deep dive on your wellness journey, and you will walk away with one thing that you can do today to begin your journey to health. The link is in the video description. It's nourishwhoyouare.com. So I hope that you sign up for that. I hope to see you there. Don't forget to click subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.